All right, it's the 23rd of August, and I have to tell you what happened last night. I asked Jesus a question that has been weighing on my soul for years. A question about why some people get a second chance, why they're sent back from the very edge of eternity after a profound experience. Honestly, the answer he gave me completely shattered my understanding of life, purpose, and prayer. It has nothing to do with being more special than anyone else, or having some grand, unfinished business in the way we usually think. What he revealed will fundamentally change how you see your own life's purpose and the incredible value of every single day you've been given. Before I can even begin to explain the miracle of what he showed me, I feel like I have to be honest about where this question came from. For you to really grasp the weight of it, the roots of this go incredibly deep, back to a time nearly 15 years ago involving one of my closest friends. It's a part of my life I haven't really talked about publicly, but without this context, the revelation he gave me won't make any sense. So please, stick with me on this, because the journey to the answer is just as important as the answer itself. My friend, who I'll call Mark, went through one of those experiences. It was a moment where he reached a sacred threshold, a point of transition that left everyone around him holding their breath. We all spent days in prayer, just pouring our hearts out to God, asking for a miracle, for more time, for a sign that everything was going to be all right. The intensity of that time, the feeling of complete helplessness, mixed with desperate faith, is something that has never left me. It's a feeling I'm sure many of you have unfortunately experienced in your own lives. Miraculously, Mark was given more time. He came back from that threshold, and while we were all celebrating with overwhelming gratitude, I saw something in his eyes that I didn't expect. A deep and unsettling confusion. The joy was there, of course, but it was overshadowed by a heavy question that he couldn't shake. I remember visiting him a few weeks later, and he was quiet, distant. He looked at me, and with a raw honesty that I'll never forget, he asked, "Why me, John? Why was I the one who got to come back? What am I supposed to do now?" His question hit me like a physical blow. I had no answer for him. In all my prayers, I had only focused on the please, never the why. I mumbled something about God having a plan for him, about his work not being finished, but the words felt hollow, like greeting cards in the face of a profound spiritual mystery. Mark's question wasn't just his own anymore. It became mine. It planted itself in my soul and began to grow, branching out into 1,000 other questions about fairness, purpose, and the nature of God's intervention in our lives. I started seeing his question everywhere. I'd meet people who had similar stories, who had stood at that same doorway between this life and the next and were allowed to turn around. Each one of them carried the same beautiful, heavy burden, the question of why. They all felt this immense pressure to live some extraordinary life, to justify the extra time they were given. Some of them felt like they were failing, that they weren't living up to the cosmic expectation that must have come with their second chance. It was a quiet suffering I started to become very sensitive to. This question followed me for over a decade, shaping my prayers and my understanding of faith. It was a constant, low hum in the background of my spiritual life. I would read books, I would talk to pastors and theologians, I would search the scriptures for a clear answer, but nothing ever felt complete. The explanations always seemed to revolve around the individual, that God spared them for a specific task they needed to complete. But that answer never sat right with me. It felt too transactional, too simplistic for the God of infinite relational love that I've come to know. There was something about that explanation that implied those who didn't return simply had no purpose left, and I knew in my bones that couldn't be true. It made God's love feel conditional, like a performance review. Was life just a checklist of tasks, and once you were done, your time was up? It didn't align with the Jesus I read about in the Gospels, the one who wept with those who mourned, who valued presence over production, and who spoke of a love that was based on relationship, not accomplishment. The disconnect was deeply troubling to me. This internal conflict only intensified as my own faith journey deepened. The more I prayed, the more I felt that the popular answers were missing something crucial, something about the interconnectedness of love and community. I started to suspect that the answer wasn't about the person who survived, but perhaps about everyone else connected to them. It was just a feeling, a spiritual inkling, but I had nothing to base it on. It remained a frustrating mystery, a puzzle piece that I just couldn't seem to find in the vast picture of God's plan. Mark, over the years, learned to live with the question. He built a beautiful life, full of love and service, but I knew that sense of unresolved purpose still visited him in quiet moments. We would talk about it every so often, and our conversations always ended in the same place, a shared shrug of loving incomprehension. We accepted it as one of those divine mysteries we wouldn't understand on this side of eternity. We resolved to simply be grateful for his presence and to trust that God's reasons were beyond our ability to fully grasp. But I never truly let it go. My heart ached for a better answer, not just for Mark, but for everyone who has ever felt the weight of a second chance. I wanted to be able to offer real comfort, a deeper truth that could lift the burden of performance and replace it with a sense of peaceful purpose. I felt that if I could just understand the why, it would unlock a new understanding of how God sees all of our lives, not just the lives of those who have had these profound experiences. I remember one specific night about 5 years ago. I was on a plane, flying home after a long week of work. I was looking out the window at the endless darkness, and the question came back with a vengeance. I just started weeping quietly in my seat, overwhelmed by the sheer mystery of it all. I prayed, God, please, just give me a glimpse. Help me understand your heart in this. It's not for me. It's for all the people like Mark who are trying to make sense of the gift you've given them. That prayer, like so many before it, seemed to go unanswered at the time. There was no flash of insight, no sudden understanding. Life continued, busy and demanding, and the question receded back into the familiar hum in my soul. I learned to live with it, accepting that some things are simply beyond our knowing. I focused on my work, on my own walk with God, and on trying to be a good friend, son, and brother. I resigned myself to the idea that this was one answer I would have to wait for. It's incredible how we can all be connected on these journeys, and I'd love to feel that connection with you right now. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Anyway, back to what I was saying, even with all the blessings in my life, that unresolved question remained a tender spot in my heart. You would think that having the privilege of portraying Jesus would come with some kind of special insight, a direct line to the answers for these deep, spiritual questions. But if anything, the role has only made me more aware of how much I don't know, how much I need to rely on pure faith, and how vast the mystery of God truly is. It has made me more of a seeker, not less. It's funny, because even now, as we're in the middle of filming the 6th season of The Chosen, and with season 5 having just been released a couple of months ago, I still feel like a student. Every day on set, I'm digging deeper into the scriptures, trying to understand the heart of Jesus. The work forces you to confront these profound questions. But this one particular question, the why behind second chances, it always felt like it was just beyond the reach of my study and my acting preparation. It was a personal, persistent, unknown. I've had countless conversations with people who have been touched by the show, and so many of them share stories of their own moments of divine intervention, of times they felt God stepped in and gave them another day. And every single time, I would see that same look I saw in Mark's eyes all those years ago, a mixture of profound gratitude and deep, searching curiosity. I would hug them and pray with them, but I always felt like I was failing them because I couldn't offer the one thing they were truly asking for, a satisfying answer. This feeling of inadequacy grew over time. It felt like a gap in my ability to minister to people, to offer them the full comfort of the gospel. It's one thing to say, God loves you and has a plan for your life. It's another thing entirely to help someone understand the specific, beautiful logic behind one of his most profound and personal acts of mercy. I longed to be able to give them more, to give them a truth that would settle their souls and free them to live with joy instead of pressure. I suppose, looking back, that all those years of questioning, all those conversations, all that wrestling in my own heart, it wasn't for nothing. It was creating a space inside of me, tilling the soil of my soul, making it ready to receive the answer when the time was right. God was allowing the question to deepen, to become not just an intellectual curiosity, but a desperate, heartfelt plea. He was preparing me to understand the beauty of the answer he was eventually going to give. And that brings me to last night. I wasn't in a moment of crisis or deep distress. It was actually the opposite. I was sitting in quiet reflection, feeling an immense sense of gratitude for my life, for my work, for my faith. I was in a place of peaceful communion with God. The question of Mark and of second chances surfaced in my mind, not with its usual ache of confusion, but with a gentle sense of curiosity, like asking a dear friend to finally explain something you've always wondered about. My prayer was simple, almost conversational. I just closed my eyes and said, "Jesus, it's me. I've been carrying this question for so long, and I feel like maybe now is the time to ask again. Lord, please help me understand. Why are some people given more time when they reach that final threshold? What is the real, beautiful reason that you send them back? I just want to understand your heart in it." I didn't demand an answer. It was a humble, open-handed request. I finished my prayer and sat in the silence, expecting nothing more than the usual sense of peace that follows an honest conversation with God. I wasn't anticipating a vision or a dramatic revelation, but something felt different this time. The quiet in the room wasn't empty, it was full. It was charged with a palpable sense of presence, a stillness that was alive and breathing with love. A profound sense of calm washed over me, deeper than any I had ever experienced before. As I drifted toward sleep, I felt like I was being wrapped in the safest, most comforting blanket imaginable. It wasn't just physical tiredness, it was a kind of spiritual surrender. My last conscious thought was a simple repetition of my prayer, "Lord, just help me understand." I let go of the question, releasing it completely into his hands, trusting that his silence was just as loving as his answers. I had no idea that I was about to receive the most profound answer of my life. The experience that followed wasn't like a normal dream. In a dream, you're an actor in a play your mind has written. This was different. I was fully myself, fully conscious and aware, and I was being invited into a reality more real and vibrant than anything I've ever known. The first thing I was aware of was a gentle, warm light that seemed to emanate from everywhere at once. It wasn't a light you see with your eyes, it was a light you feel with your soul, a light made of pure, unconditional love. And in the midst of that living light, I saw him. Jesus was there, and the sense of recognition was instantaneous and absolute. This wasn't a figment of my imagination or a character from a script. It was him. He looked at me with an expression of such profound tenderness and understanding that all the years of carrying that heavy question just melted away. In his gaze, I felt every prayer I had ever prayed about it, every moment of confusion, every ounce of longing for an answer. He knew it all. He didn't speak with audible words at first. The communication was deeper than that, more like a direct transfer of understanding from his heart to mine. The first thing I understood was his acknowledgement of my long journey with this question. I felt him honoring the sincerity of my search, the love for my friend that had fueled it, and the compassion for others that had sustained it. There was no judgment for my impatience or my confusion, only a gentle affirmation that my search was a beautiful expression of love. Then he began to answer my question, and he did it not by giving me a lecture, but by showing me. The landscape of light around us began to shift, and I was shown a soul standing at that sacred threshold I had wondered about for so long. It was a place of profound peace, not fear. It was a doorway, not an ending. The soul was calm, surrounded by that same beautiful, loving light. It was a moment of decision, a holy pause between two realities. Jesus then gently guided my attention to the earthward side of that threshold, and what I saw took my breath away. Extending from the world towards this soul were countless threads of shimmering light. They looked like glowing tethers, each one pulsing with a soft, warm energy. There were thick, brilliant cords, and there were finer, more delicate strands, but they all reached for this soul with a gentle but persistent pull. I had no idea what I was looking at, but it was indescribably beautiful. He then helped me understand what these threads were. Each one, he explained to my heart, is an act of love. Every thread was a prayer being offered, a tear being shed, a memory being cherished, a heart aching with love for the person at the threshold. The thick, bright chords were the deep, desperate prayers of a spouse or a child. The finer threads were the prayers of a friend, a neighbor, a coworker, even a stranger who had been touched by that person's life in some small way. I was witnessing the tangible reality of love. Every prayer, every loving thought, every hopeful plea, none of it was wasted. None of it vanished into the ether. It became a real, spiritual substance, a cord of light that connected the community of the living to the one they loved. I watched, mesmerized, as this beautiful web of light pulsed and glowed, a testament to the powerful bonds of human connection. It was the most stunningly beautiful thing I had ever seen. Then came the part that completely changed everything for me. Jesus explained that the decision for a soul to return, to be given more time, often has less to do with the soul itself and more to do with the love that is holding on to them. It's not about unfinished business in the sense of a personal to-do list. The unfinished business is the love of the community that is still actively being poured out, a love that God chooses to honor in the most beautiful way. He helped me understand that sometimes a soul is sent back because the world needs the love that is being poured out for them to remain anchored in the world. The person who returns becomes a living, breathing answer to the prayers of their loved ones. They are sent back not for their own sake, but for the sake of the community. Their second chance is not a personal reward. It is a mission to be a vessel for the love that called them back. This was the shocking truth. We've been looking at it all wrong. We ask, why was this person saved? As if it's an individual prize. But God's perspective is communal. The real question is, what is the purpose of the love being poured out for this person? Sometimes the purpose is to comfort those who remain. But other times, God chooses to let that love complete its circuit, to send the person back as a living testament to its power. He showed me another soul at the threshold. This one was also surrounded by threads of light, but they were different. They were peaceful, content. The prayers attached to them were prayers of release, of "Thy will be done." The love was just as strong, but it was a love that was ready to let go, to entrust the soul completely to God's care. It wasn't that this person was loved less, it was that the nature of the love's expression was different, preparing the way for a peaceful transition home. The distinction was so clear and so compassionate, it removed all sense of judgment or comparison. It wasn't about one person being more needed or more important than another. It was about the specific, unique tapestry of love that each person is a part of. God, in His infinite wisdom, responds to the honest prayers of the community. Whether those prayers are a desperate plea to hold on or a loving surrender to let go, He honors the love behind them. I began to understand that a second chance isn't a burden to be carried, it's a gift to be shared. The person who returns is not carrying the weight of their own survival, but the light of their community's love. Their mission is not to go and achieve something spectacular to prove their worthiness. Their mission is simply to live, and in their living, to be a constant, visible reminder that love is real, that prayer is powerful, and that human connection has eternal significance. He then explained how this transforms our understanding of purpose. The pressure to do something great with a second chance is a human invention. From heaven's perspective, the greatness has already happened. It was in the love that was poured out. The life that follows is a bonus, a grace note, an opportunity to continue participating in that beautiful symphony of love. The purpose is not to earn the gift, but to simply be the gift to others. I thought about all the people I'd met who felt they were failing to live up to their second chance. I thought of their quiet guilt, their feeling of not being enough. And I felt this wave of compassion wash over me, a deep desire to go back and tell every single one of them, "You've already fulfilled your purpose. Your existence is the victory. Every extra day, every simple breath is an echo of the love that held you here. Just live, love in return." That is more than enough. Jesus impressed upon my heart that this truth was meant to bring freedom, not to create a new formula. It's not that if you just pray hard enough, you can guarantee a specific outcome. It's about recognizing that our love and our prayers are always heard and always matter. They are powerful forces that God weaves into his perfect and mysterious plan. Sometimes that plan involves a miraculous return, and sometimes it involves a peaceful homecoming. Both are responses to love. This revelation also redefined my understanding of prayer itself. I had always seen prayer for healing as a vertical transaction, me asking God for a result. But he showed me that prayer is also horizontal. It's a powerful act of connection that creates those tangible spiritual tethers between us. When we pray for someone, we are literally sending them a lifeline of love, a cord of light that supports them on their journey, wherever it may lead. The entire vision was recalibrating my spiritual worldview. It was shifting my perspective from a very individualistic faith to a profoundly communal one. Our lives are not our own. We are inextricably linked to one another through these invisible threads of love. My joys, my sorrows, my struggles, and my triumphs are all part of a much larger story, a story that God is weaving together through the beautiful, messy, and powerful reality of our relationships. As I was absorbing the sheer magnitude of this truth, Jesus then made it intensely personal. The scene of light shifted again, and this time I saw my friend, Mark, all those years ago. He was there, at that same peaceful threshold, and reaching for him were the cords of light I now understood so well. I saw a thick, brilliant cord that I knew was the love of his wife. I saw two slightly smaller, but equally bright cords from his children. And then, with a jolt that went straight through my soul, I saw another cord. It was my own. I was watching a visual representation of the prayers I had poured out in that hospital waiting room 15 years earlier. I saw my fear, my desperation, my love for my friend, all woven into this shimmering thread of light that was reaching for him, holding on to him. I saw the prayers of our other friends, his parents, his colleagues, a whole constellation of light anchoring him. In that moment, I understood completely. Mark's return wasn't a random miracle. It was a direct, divine response to the collective love of his community. God saw the beautiful, desperate web of light we were all weaving around him and chose to honor it by sending Mark back to us. He was returned to his wife because her love was a powerful force. He was returned to his children because their need for their father was a holy prayer. He was returned to us, his friends, because our bond was real and eternal. Tears started streaming down my face, but they weren't tears of sadness or confusion. They were tears of profound, overwhelming gratitude and clarity. The question that had haunted me for 15 years was answered in a single, beautiful image. The weight of the why was lifted not just for me, but for Mark. His survival wasn't a burden for him to figure out. It was a gift that our love, empowered by God, had given to us all. I felt the guilt I had carried on his behalf just dissolve. The feeling that he had to justify his existence vanished, replaced by an incredible sense of peace. He didn't have to do anything to prove he was worthy of his second chance. He was worthy because he was loved. It was that simple. His life, from that moment on, was a testament not to his own strength or purpose, but to the strength and purpose of the love that surrounded him. Jesus then let me feel a fraction of the joy that heaven feels when such a decision is made. It wasn't just a quiet, administrative choice. It was a celebration of love. Heaven rejoiced that the love of Mark's community was so strong. It celebrated the opportunity for that love to continue to be expressed and received on earth. It was a victory for connection, a victory for relationship, a victory for the communal heart that God designed us to have. The vision began to gently fade, but the feeling of peace and clarity remained. The last impression Jesus left on my heart was a simple, powerful command. Go and tell them, free them from the burden of performance. Remind them that they are loved and that their love for one another is a power that shapes realities. Tell them to live not to justify their lives, but to celebrate the love that sustains them. When I woke up, the sun was streaming through my window. The dream, the vision, whatever it was, hadn't faded like a normal dream. It was imprinted on my soul, as real and clear as the room around me. Every detail, every feeling, every revelation was perfectly preserved. I lay there for a long time, just breathing, letting the tears of gratitude flow freely. The world looked different. Everything looked different. The first thing I did was pick up my phone and call Mark. It was early, but I knew I had to talk to him. When he answered, sleepy and confused, I just started talking. I didn't tell him the whole story of the vision. It felt too sacred, too personal for a phone call. But I told him the part that was his. I told him what I had been shown about his second chance. I said, Mark, I think I finally have an answer to your question from all those years ago. Your life isn't a debt you have to repay. It's not a performance you have to nail. Your life is an answer to the prayers of everyone who loves you. You were sent back because you are so deeply loved, and your presence is the ongoing victory of that love. Just being you, being here with us, that's it. That's the whole mission. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then, I heard him take a shaky breath. When he finally spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. He said, John, I have been waiting 15 years to hear that. I never knew how much I needed to hear that. We both just cried on the phone for a few minutes. A shared release of a burden neither of us had realized we were both still carrying so heavily. It was a moment of profound healing for us both. That conversation with Mark was the confirmation I needed. The peace and freedom that the message brought him was tangible. It was like watching a weight he'd been carrying for a decade and a half finally be lifted from his shoulders. He told me it felt like he could finally just breathe, like he could finally stop striving to be worthy of his life and just start living it with simple gratitude. The truth had, quite literally, set him free. And now, I want to share that same freedom with you. If you are one of those people who has been given a second chance, who has stood at that sacred threshold and been sent back, please hear this. You are a walking, breathing monument to the power of love. Your life is a testament to the prayers and hopes of others. You do not have to earn your place here. Your presence is the purpose. Live with joy, with peace, and with the incredible knowledge that you are here because you are deeply and powerfully loved. And if you are someone who is praying for another, who is pouring out your heart for someone you love, I want you to know this. Your love matters. Your prayers are not empty words. They are real. They are powerful. They are threads of light that you are weaving around the people you care about. You are participating in a divine, mysterious work every time you choose to love, every time you choose to hope, every time you choose to pray. Never ever believe that your love is wasted. This revelation has changed how I interact with everyone. I no longer see people as just individuals, but as centers of a beautiful, invisible web of light. I think about the people who are praying for them, the people whose love is sustaining them. It has filled me with a new sense of reverence for the sanctity of community and the profound power that we have to support one another in ways we may never see with our physical eyes. It has also completely transformed the way I pray. My prayers for others are no longer just a list of requests sent up to heaven. I now visualize them as these threads of light, of love and support that I am actively sending out to wrap around the person I'm praying for. It has made prayer a more active, creative, and hopeful act. It feels less like a desperate plea and more like a powerful act of participation in God's work of love. This truth is not just for people who have had dramatic, life-altering experiences. It's for all of us. Every single one of us is here because of a web of love. We are here because of the love of our parents, our friends, our families. We are sustained every day by small, unseen acts of love and prayer from people in our lives. Our very existence is a testament to the power of connection. We are all living answers to someone's prayer. Think about it. Who in your life has loved you into being the person you are today? Who has prayed for you, supported you, believed in you, even when you didn't believe in yourself? Their love is woven into the fabric of your soul. Your life is, in many ways, a testament to their faith in you. In the same way, your love and your prayers for others are helping to shape and sustain them on their journey. It's a beautiful, reciprocal dance of grace. This completely reframes what we think of as a purpose-driven life. We often think purpose is about achieving big things, leaving a legacy, making a name for ourselves. But what if our primary purpose is simply to love and be loved well? What if the greatest legacy we can leave is the strength of the threads of light we weave into the lives of others through our prayers, our kindness, our encouragement, and our unwavering presence? This understanding doesn't diminish the importance of the work we do in the world. On the contrary, it infuses it with a deeper meaning. Now, when I go to work, when I interact with my colleagues, when I meet people at events, I see every interaction as an opportunity to weave another thread of light. A kind word, a moment of genuine listening, a silent prayer. These aren't small things, they are eternal things. They are contributions to the web of love that holds our world together. It also brings incredible comfort in times of loss. When someone we love does make that final transition home, we can know with certainty that the love we poured out for them was not in vain. Those threads of light accompanied them to the very threshold, surrounding them with our care and support, and that love doesn't die. It becomes part of their eternal story, and it remains a bond that can never be broken. This removes the false idea that if someone isn't healed or saved in the way we want, that our faith was too weak or our prayers were ineffective. That's a cruel lie that causes so much pain. The truth is that our prayers are always effective because they are always an act of love. And love is always the point. Whether that love manifests as a miraculous return or a peaceful homecoming is in God's hands. Our job is simply to love. I hope this message sinks deep into your heart today. I hope it frees you from any pressure you might feel to perform for God or to justify your existence. You are here because you are a beloved child of God and because you are part of a community of love. That is your qualification. That is your purpose. To receive love with gratitude and to give it away freely. Everything else is secondary. I encourage you to take a moment today to think about the people who form your web of light. Who are the ones praying for you, holding you in their hearts? Take a moment to thank God for them, and then think about who you are praying for. Who are you sending those threads of love and support to? Recognize the sacred and powerful role you play in their lives, whether you ever see the results or not. This truth should fundamentally change how we treat one another. The person next to you in traffic, the cashier at the grocery store, the family member you have a difficult relationship with, they are all at the center of a web of love. Someone loves them, someone is praying for them. They are sacred. Seeing people this way makes it much harder to be judgmental, impatient, or unkind. It calls us to a higher standard of compassion. Imagine a world where we all lived with this awareness. A world where we saw every person as a living, breathing answer to someone's prayer. How would that change our politics, our social media interactions, our family gatherings? It would change everything. It would replace judgment with curiosity, contempt with compassion, and division with a deep and abiding sense of our shared humanity. This is the kind of world God calls us to build. I know this is a big concept, and I'm still processing it myself. It's one of those truths that will take a lifetime to fully unpack. But the peace it has brought to my soul is so profound that I knew I couldn't keep it to myself. It's a message of hope, a message of freedom, and a message of the incredible, world-shaping power of ordinary, everyday love. This encounter has reignited my faith in a way I can't even begin to describe. It has made God's love feel so much more personal, so much more intricate, and so much more communal than I ever imagined. He is not a distant king, moving pieces on a chessboard. He is a loving father, an intimate friend, who is deeply invested in the beautiful, messy, and powerful story of our relationships. I've stopped asking, why me, about the blessings in my own life, and I've started asking, for whom? Who prayed for me to get this role? Whose love and support have sustained me through the difficult times? My life is not my own accomplishment. It's a collective victory of love, and my job is to steward it well, to honor the prayers that have carried me here by loving others in the same way. So, if you take away one thing from our time together today, let it be this. You are more deeply loved and more powerfully connected than you can possibly imagine. And the love you give away is the most important work you will ever do. It is creating real, tangible, spiritual lifelines that are holding this world together. Never doubt the power of a simple prayer. Never underestimate the impact of a small act of kindness. They are eternal. The vision of my own prayer becoming a thread of light for Mark is something I will carry with me for the rest of my life. It was an incredible gift, a moment of seeing behind the veil that validated every prayer I had ever whispered in hope. It taught me that even when we feel helpless, Our love is never helpless. Our love is a force, a substance, a power that participates in the miraculous work of God. I now see my friendship with Mark in a new light. Our bond, forged over years of laughter, support, and shared faith, was not just a nice part of our earthly lives. It had an eternal dimension. The love between us was strong enough to become one of the threads that God used to anchor him here. And his presence in my life continues to be a reminder of that sacred truth, a call to love others with that same level of commitment. This understanding has also brought a new dimension to my grief for those I've lost. I no longer see their passing as a failure of prayer, but as a different kind of answer. The love we poured out for them did not fail. It accompanied them, comforted them, and ushered them home. The threads of light were not severed, they simply transformed into an eternal bond that death cannot break. Our love still connects us, spanning the distance between heaven and earth. This truth has healed a part of my heart that I didn't even realize was wounded. It has healed the place that secretly wondered if God was fair, the part that struggled to reconcile his goodness with the pain of the world. By seeing the communal nature of his miracles, by understanding that it's all about relationship, I can now trust his heart more deeply, even when I can't understand his methods. When I think about Mark now, I don't see a man living on borrowed time. I see a man living on loved time. And that, I believe, is true for all of us. Every day is a gift, sustained by a web of love that is far greater and more powerful than we know. Our job is not to frantically search for some grand, individual purpose, but to rest in the purpose we already have. To be a conduit of God's love to the people he has placed in our lives. The implications of this are staggering. It means that the most important work we can do today might be to call a friend who is struggling, to pray for a family member who is sick, to show a small kindness to a stranger. These are not insignificant acts. These are the very acts that weave the fabric of reality. This is how we partner with God in his work of holding the world together with love. I feel a sense of peace about the future that I've never had before. I know that whatever comes, I am held in a web of love. And I know that the most important thing I can do with my time here is to contribute to that web, to strengthen it, to expand it, and to help others recognize that they are a part of it too. It simplifies everything down to the one thing that truly matters: love. This experience has been a profound gift, but I know it wasn't just for me. Jesus was clear that this was a message I was meant to share. It's a message for the heart of every person who has ever felt alone, for every person who has ever questioned their purpose, and for every person who has ever wondered if their love truly makes a difference. I am telling you with every fiber of my being, it does. The beauty of this divine design is that everyone can participate. You don't need a special title, a large platform, or a theology degree. All you need is a heart that is willing to love, a heart that is willing to pray for another, to hope for another, to care for another. If you have that, you have everything you need to be a powerful force for good in this world. You are already a miracle worker in God's economy. I think back to that question my friend Mark asked me 15 years ago. What am I supposed to do now? The answer is so much simpler and more beautiful than I ever could have imagined. What are you supposed to do? You are supposed to love the people who loved you enough to keep you here. You are supposed to receive their love. You are supposed to let your life be a beautiful, shining testament to its power. That's it, and that is everything. This truth also gives a new and sacred meaning to community. It's not just a social support system, it's a spiritual life support system. Our churches, our small groups, our families, our friendships, these are the places where the threads of light are woven. These are the sacred spaces where we participate in the very work of sustaining one another. We need each other. We are designed to be interconnected in this profound way. So, if you feel disconnected today, I urge you to reach out. Find a community where you can be known and loved, and where you can know and love others. It is in the context of these relationships that we find our deepest purpose and experience the fullness of God's design. Don't try to live your life on your own. You were never meant to. You were meant to be part of a beautiful, life-giving web of love. I find myself looking at my own relationships with a new sense of reverence. Every friendship, every family bond is a sacred trust. It's an opportunity to be a thread of light for someone else and to allow them to be a thread of light for me. It's not about what I can get from the relationship, but about how our connection can contribute to the larger tapestry of God's love in the world. This perspective has made me a better friend, I think. I listen more deeply, I pray more intentionally, I am more present. I understand that the time I spend with the people I love is not just leisure time, it's kingdom work. It's the work of strengthening the bonds that have eternal significance. And that has filled my life with a sense of quiet, joyful purpose that is beyond anything I've ever known. I am no longer haunted by the question of why. I am now captivated by the reality of how. How can I love better? How can I be a stronger thread of light for the people in my life? How can I live my life in a way that honors the beautiful, intricate web of love that sustains me every single day? This shift from why to how has been the greatest gift of this entire experience. When you start to see the world this way, you start to see miracles everywhere. A child's recovery is not just a medical event, it's a testament to a parent's love. A friend pulling through a tough time is not just a fortunate outcome, it's a testament to the prayers of their community. You begin to see the invisible hand of God working through the visible hands of human love in every corner of your life. It's a more hopeful way to live. It's a more empowered way to live. It frees us from the anxiety of trying to control outcomes and invites us into the peaceful work of simply loving the person in front of us. We do our part, we love, we pray, we show up, and we trust God to weave our small threads into His grand, miraculous design. It's a beautiful partnership. This understanding has not made life perfect. There is still pain, there is still loss, there is still mystery. But I now have an anchor in the storm. That anchor is the unshakable knowledge that love is the most powerful force in the universe, and that every act of love matters for eternity. And with that knowledge, I can face anything, because I know that I am not facing it alone. I've shared this story with a few close friends since it happened, and the reaction is always the same, a sense of relief. It's like a truth they already knew in their hearts, but had never been given the words for. It resonates because it aligns with the deepest intuitions of the human soul that we are made for connection, and that love is what it's all about. So today, I want you to remember the threads of light. Remember that you are surrounded by them. Remember that you are creating them with every act of love. Let this image be a source of strength for you when you feel weak, a source of hope when you feel discouraged, and a source of purpose when you feel lost. You are a vital part of a beautiful, divine tapestry. This encounter was a deeply personal gift from God, but I know with every fiber of my being that its message is universal. It's a truth for every person, of every faith, in every corner of the world. It's a revelation of the fundamental operating system of the universe, love, and the more we align our lives with that principle, the more we will experience the peace and joy we were created for. I am still the same person I was before this experience. I still have my flaws, my struggles, my doubts. But something fundamental has shifted within me. There is a quiet confidence in my soul that wasn't there before, a deep and abiding peace that comes from knowing that my life is securely held in a web of love, and that my primary job is simply to contribute to that web. I pray this message has touched your heart in the way it has touched mine. I pray that it has brought you a sense of peace, clarity, and freedom. And I pray that it will inspire you to look at your life, your relationships, and your purpose in a new and beautiful light. You are so much more powerful, so much more important, and so much more loved than you know. The next time you hear a story of someone who has been given a second chance, I hope you won't just see it as a story about one person's luck. I hope you will see it as a story about the incredible power of a community's love. It's a story that we are all a part of, every single day, in ways big and small. We are all co-authors in this grand narrative of love. The mystery is still vast, and my small understanding is just a glimpse into the infinite wisdom of God. But it's a glimpse that has changed everything for me. It has replaced my confusion with wonder, my anxiety with peace, and my striving with a simple, joyful call to love. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. This is the truth He wanted me to share with you. Since that night, the world feels more alive with meaning, It's like I'm seeing in color after a lifetime of black and white. When I see people hugging at the airport, I see threads of light being woven. When I hear of a community rallying around a family in need, I see a web of love being strengthened. It has reaffirmed my belief that love is the ultimate reality, the foundation upon which everything else is built. I want you to carry this truth into your day. Let it change the way you see the person who makes your coffee, the way you speak to your children, the way you think about your own life. You are an agent of the most powerful force in the universe. Every kind thought, every patient response, every silent prayer is a direct participation in the work of God. Let that knowledge empower you and fill you with a profound sense of purpose. So, live boldly in the knowledge that your life is an answer to prayer, and love boldly in the knowledge that your love has the power to anchor souls to this world. You don't need to wait for a grand calling. Your calling is right in front of you. It's in the people God has placed in your life. Love them well. That is the most important work you will ever do. Before we end, I'd just like to pray for you. Father, I thank you for every single person watching this right now. For anyone who feels lost or questions their purpose, I ask that you would reveal to them the beautiful web of love that surrounds and sustains them. For anyone who is carrying the burden of a second chance, replace their pressure with your peace. Show them that their presence is the purpose. And for those who are pouring out their love for others, strengthen their hearts and let them know that their love is a powerful, world-changing force. And Lord, help us all to live as agents of your love. Help us to see each other through your eyes as sacred souls held in a community of care. May we spend our days strengthening the threads of light that connect us all, weaving a tapestry of love that brings glory to you. Thank you for this beautiful truth, this glimpse into your heart. May it change us, and may we, in turn, change the world. In Jesus' name, amen. If this message touched you today, I'd be honored if you subscribe to stay connected. And please, I'd love to hear your own story or perspective in the comments below. Your journey matters,